Dave McCormick, who is currently up on Pennsylvania incumbent Democratic Senator Bob Casey by a margin of 112,000 votes, with 89% of the votes tallied at this hour. He is speaking out in Pittsburgh right now.
So to say that Dina and I are partners in this whole thing, and I wouldn't have done it without her, is an understatement. She is. This is something we decided to do together. Something that we felt honored to try to do. It was a mountain to climb, and none of this would have ever happened without Dina. So thank you, Dina. And now I want to just ask the question, who's ready to save America? We got to do it. We've got to do it. And listen, this election night's not quite over, but about 85% of the vote is in. And we've looked at where all the rest of it coming, and it looks like we're headed in a very good direction. And listen, when we started this, Dina and I looked at the country. We feel like we've been blessed by everything America has to offer, two of the luckiest people in the world. But that opportunity, that American dream is slipping away, and we got to get it back for every single Pennsylvanian and every single American. And we need new leadership. We need new leadership in the Senate to make sure that every single kid in Pennsylvania has the opportunity to be all that they can be, regardless of party, race, creed. We need to create opportunity for every single person. We need to create an economy that works for everybody. We need to secure our border. We need to have energy policy that protects the environment but also makes us secure and creates great jobs. The bottom line is, we need leadership. We don't have it, and we're going to get it. And so, listen, in the coming days, the election results will be finalized. And when they are, we will look forward to a new agenda, a new America. And we'll look back on this day today, and we'll say that was the day that we turned the corner. That was the day that we had new leadership in Pennsylvania. That was the day that we got our country back on track. And, some of you know, I think most of you probably know, I had the opportunity to go to West Point, and my brother went to West Point, and my mom and dad went with us to West Point for 8 years in a row. And they hadn't gone back for 35 years, and we took them back last fall. And with Dina's parents as well, and we walked past the MacArthur statue, and it has a very famous speech etched in granite, and the speech says, "Duty, honor, country." Those three hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, what you will be. They are your rallying point to build courage when courage seems to fail, to regain faith when there seems little cause for faith, and to create hope when hope becomes forlorn. And that makes sense to me because this is a moment where we don't have enough leaders showing courage. This is a moment where Americans are losing faith. This is a moment where America is losing hope. But we can turn that page. We can look forward. We can have an America that works for everybody. It starts now. It starts with this election. It starts right here in Pennsylvania. And so, from the bottom of our hearts, we have been so honored to campaign across Pennsylvania. 450 visits in every little town and every city. And the people we've met along the way have given us hope. They've given us faith. They've given us courage to want to represent and serve the great people of our Commonwealth. It'll be the honor of our lifetimes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're just hearing from Republican Senate nominee Dave McCormick, who is right now up on incumbent U.S. Senator Bob Casey, the Democrat in this race, by a margin of 109,000 votes, with 89% now reporting in that race. McCormick would be taking office for the first time if that margin holds, although there are still votes to be tallied, including in the heavily Democratic stronghold of Philadelphia. At this hour, Philadelphia County, by last check, is at 75% reporting. Casey's margin in that area is 347,000. He's winning almost 80% of the vote there. So that's far from over, as is the race for the White House. And we're looking right now at the number of votes cast in Pennsylvania, and it seems again in tonight's race that the Republicans have the edge, at least as of right now. 90% reporting in the race between former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, with a lead of 217,000 votes for the former president. Keep in mind, in 2020, Joe Biden, the Democrat, won this state by just 80,000 votes. Again, same situation. Philadelphia still has a significant number of votes to be counted. At last check, 78% reporting there, with 78% of that vote going to the vice president. We have just learned that she is not going to speak tonight, but we will wait to hear more from that race. The Trump headquarters and campaign is still out for the evening. So let's move now to the U.S. House 10th District at this point, with Republican Scott Perry now up on Janelle Stelson. This is a shift from what we had seen for much of the night. Stelson was up by at least 10,000 votes. We just heard moments ago, within the last half hour or so, from Republican incumbent Scott Perry, the longtime House of Representatives congressman here. He was going to go to bed. He was saying, all right, we're going to pack it up for the night. We don't know the result of the race. And since he has, this has taken a little bit of a turn. 91% reporting. He is up by 3,794 votes at this point. We're going to also take a look at the PA Attorney General race between Dave Sunday, the Republican, and Democrat Eugene DePasquale. 82% reporting in this race at this moment. 333,000 votes separate the two of them. Dave Sunday, we saw him speak earlier in the hour. He is over in York, was addressing the crowd there, and very optimistic with the turnout and the results thus far in the race. Again, 82% reporting in that race for the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, the top cop. Let's move to the PA House 92nd District. This is Mark Anderson, is now projected to be the winner over Dan Almoni with a 16,000 vote margin of victory at this point, with 95% reporting. So still some votes left to be tallied, but Anderson is your winner in the PA 92nd. and PA 95th, Carol Hill Evans retains her seat in the 95th District with a 92% reporting at this point, 3,700 vote advantage, 59% of the vote in favor of Carol Hill Evans, the Democrat in that race. And we're going to take a look now back at the U.S. House 10th District. In fact, guys, if you want to bring up some of the graphics here, we can take a look at where this race has changed. If you can bring up my computer and take a look at the counties in this individual race. I'm not sure if that's going to be possible on the stream or not here, but okay, we'll take a look at this for a moment, because earlier today, within the last hour or so, this is shifted quite a bit. Republican Scott Perry had been losing by a certain margin in York County specifically. If we look back at the 2022 race, he did win this county, or at least the section of this county that is included in this district, by a 17,000 vote margin. Earlier in the night, it appeared that Stelson had an advantage specifically in York County. We'll go back to the 2024 race and go back to York County here. Stelson had about a 10,000 vote advantage at that point. That has shifted now. So York County going in favor, it appears at this point, of the Republican incumbent Scott Perry, with a 13,000 vote advantage for him. Again, as it happened in 2022, Stelson, the Democrat, has a margin, a slight lead in specifically Dauphin County, 54% of the vote, 45% of the vote going to Scott Perry right now, 132,000 with 89% reporting there. And Scott Perry has also, as we expected, this was 98% reporting an hour and a half ago as well, has also taken Cumberland County. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the numbers here and continue to watch those. But right now, the Department of State is addressing some of the concerns and some of the threats to polling places today and has an update for voters tonight. We want to go live to Secretary of the Commonwealth, Al Schmidt, with his address. All right, we're actually going to take a pause on that for a moment as we are working to get through some technical difficulties and get you the address from the Secretary at this moment. But let's go back, if we can, to the race in question here. Let's go over to the Senate race, because this is one that you just heard from Republican Dave McCormick on the stage there in Pittsburgh. Actually, okay, all right, we have seemed to figure out the technical issue. We're now going to take you to Secretary Schmidt, who is speaking in Harrisburg.
Act 88 funding is that they must begin processing mail ballots at 7 a.m. on election morning and continue processing them until all mail ballots have been counted. In 2024, 65 of Pennsylvania's 67 counties received Act 88 grant funding, which means they were required to report a post at 12:01 on their report to their website. The goal of these reports is to identify the total universe of mail ballots returned to the county, to help mitigate against disinformation about found ballots that can spread while ballots are still being counted. The department posted a spreadsheet to its website, vote.pa.gov, that compiles the information that has been received so far from each county report. What we know from these reports is at least 54 so far have submitted to the Department of State, and the total number of mail ballots they received. Several are still incoming, as I learned on the way just crossing the street just now. When they submit the report, it gets formatted and posted on our website. We continue to work with our county partners that have not yet reported. Given the late hour, this will be my final public update for the night. I'll resume providing updates as needed tomorrow. And now I can answer any questions you might have.
Good morning, Secretary.
Good morning, sir.
Can you provide any more detail about the bomb threats? How many polling places were affected, or whether it was a coordinated effort?
I really can't provide more detail than that. I would leave that for our law enforcement partners who are investigating it to provide the most accurate information. What I can say, and we do know from them, is that they were not credible threats and that members of the public were never in danger, although obviously intended to disrupt the process of voting.
And if I can follow up on that, can you talk about the counties where these threats actually did disrupt their the election tabulation process? There are counties, right, where it's caused problems with getting the results out. Well, you tell me.
Well, for some counties, the threats, as far as we're aware, involved specific polling places. So the counties had to make a determination with law enforcement whether to relocate the polling place through a last-minute emergency move. But I can't speak to how many that would involve or the decision-making behind it. Law enforcement would be a better source.
Hi, Tasmin Mahfouz with WJL News.
Yes.
I was wondering, do you have any comments in regards to Trump's comments about claims of cheating in Philadelphia?
I do not.
Is there anything that you'd like to say about what he's saying about possible cheating claims there?
I would let the facts speak for themselves, whether there is any evidence of that.
When do you think we'll get those facts?
Well, when people make accusations, I would expect them to follow with facts to support those accusations.
Okay, I have a couple of other quick questions. Was there a reason given for the election judge coming late to the polling site in Luzerne? Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't know the reason for the late arriving judge of elections. I know in Philadelphia with 1,703 precincts, that's 1,703 judges of elections and election materials all arriving at around 6 a.m. in the morning, so polls open at 7 a.m. So in my experience, there's any number of reasons why a poll could, and although shouldn't, open late.
Yeah, and in Fayette County, did Vincent Mineta, do you know anything about the Washington Township judge there? Did he mention that he would hand count the ballots before today, before talking about it today?
My understanding is that he communicated to others that he was not going to follow what was required of a judge of election or of a judge of elections and election board. So the county election director sought a court order to compel and make sure that he would do so.
Is there a concern that there may be other election judges who may try to have intentions to mishandle the ballots?
I'm not at this point aware of any other situations other than that precinct where a judge was alleging to do something
And
remotely like that.
I think you touched on this earlier in Cambria County, the ballot, the misprinted barcodes. Why weren't ballots tested before today, before this morning, in Cambria County?
In Cambria? Mm-hmm. So I don't know that it's misprinted barcodes. I know there's an issue with the scanner's ability to read the paper ballot. What specifically is the reason why the tabulators could not read it? I don't know, and we'll certainly be hearing from our county partners on why that occurred and why that was not caught earlier in the testing that counties are required to carry out prior to election morning.
And last question, I promise. In Center County, apparently there was some sort of altercation at one of their polling sites there that had to be evacuated. Is there anything you can tell us about that? Polling location in Center County.
Yes, I recall an issue at a polling location where it was where there was a alleged physical altercation that law enforcement and our county partners addressed.
Did they have to arrest someone?
I can't speak to that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to follow up on what happened in Fayette County. Was there ever any break in the chain of custody of ballots from what is laid out in statute?
Not that we're aware of.
Gotcha. And to follow up again in Cambria County, I mean, what share of ballots cast on election day will have to be hand counted?
I can't speak to that. The county would have that information.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you all. I hope you get some sleep tonight. And I appreciate, if I can just say in closing, all the work that you do, and it's very sincere. We spend so much time and effort to try to communicate to the public about how free and fair elections are and to make sure that they are not misled by allegations that have no basis in fact. And you play such an important role in that process, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
All right, just heard from Secretary of the Commonwealth Al Schmidt addressing some of the concerns at polling places today in terms of threats, as well as an issue with a judge in Fayette County.